Okay, so I'm very excited because I have a question. The question was if I could lay out exactly what I ate when I went keto for a week. And so this is hopefully going to be helpful for people who are trying to start keto for weight loss. I'm not suggesting keto is the only weight loss choice, nor is it right for everyone. But if you want to lose weight, keto is a very good strategy. And to win at losing weight, you definitely need a strategy. So let's start by building the strategy. And as I talk about building the strategy, I'll give you some examples of what I ate within my strategy when I went keto for a week. So in order to do this, you'll need a few things. You'll need to build your meals. You need to pick a few treats, and then you need to keep fillers around. So first, a few reminders. Remember that you're going to get the fat you need just based on the amount of sauteing that you're doing and the amount of oil that's in your sauteing, as well as in the meat that you're going to eat. So you don't have to worry about getting in extra fat if you're doing keto for weight loss. You want to try to keep your carbs under 25 net carbs. And I won't even go into the details of that because it's not very important, because we already talked about that as you're starting, don't focus on the carbs in terms of what the numbers are. Try to keep it at 0. And just by keeping it at 0, you're going to get enough carbs in, and hopefully you won't go over the threshold. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But to focus on just one thing while you're on keto is to avoid the carbs in their entirety, and then to also make sure that you're getting enough protein and not too much protein. So I would say that for the average woman, or for myself, I don't shoot beyond 50 grams of protein a day. So that's the thing you really want to look at and make sure that you're not getting too much protein, but that you are getting in enough protein to sustain yourself. So let's start by the first thing I said you need to do, which is building your meals. If you're doing keto with intermittent fasting, like we talked about last time, then you're going to skip breakfast if you're doing the most traditional schedule, so you don't have to worry about breakfast. But if you're not doing intermittent fasting and you're doing keto, then for breakfast, I suggest that you saute tons and tons of vegetables, at least 2 handfuls of vegetables, maybe 2 handfuls of spinach or broccoli, any vegetables that you like. I like to do kale or spinach with celery and onions, just any predominantly greens that I like, and then adding in also garlic and onion and sauteing those down, and then putting your egg in on top of that. If you saute, say, 2 handfuls of vegetables and then you put in 1 egg, you're already getting 6 grams of your protein just with that breakfast. If you add like a slice of cheddar cheese, then that's another 7 grams of protein, and it's going to keep you fairly full until it's lunchtime. If you're a healthier eater than that, which is fine on the ketogenic diet, you don't have to watch your portions to the same degree as you would on some other diets, which is why it's a really good strategy for most people. But if you, let's say you did 2 eggs and 2 slices of cheese, then you're already at 26 grams of your protein for the day. But again, get in a lot of greens and a lot of vegetables in there, because you want to make sure that you're getting a wide variety of nutrients. So you can stop there, or you can add a breakfast meat to your breakfast. So you could say you're going to do 1 egg in a bunch of vegetables, and then you want to add in bacon, or you want to add in a sausage. When you're looking at sausages, just be sure to check the labels, because some meats do come with fillers, and some sausages will then have carbs in it that you're not aware of. I haven't seen any that are above like 2 or 3 carbs in a sausage, but it's something that you just want to check for. If you're going to eat large portions of meat, again, I don't recommend you going over your protein, but if you're going to eat large portions of meat to keep yourself satisfied, because that's what works for you, just make sure that you're not getting in unwanted carbs. So check your meats to make sure that they don't have any fillers in it. When it comes to bacon or just meats in general, my recommendation is always to get the best meat you possibly can and the best meat that you could possibly afford. So if you can do grass-fed and organic, make sure there are no fillers, make sure there are never any antibiotics or any added hormones, then that's my recommendation. Of course, you can just do meat and eggs for a keto breakfast, but I strongly recommend that you get in as many vegetables as possible. And my recommendation to anyone, unless your doctor has said otherwise, is to target 2 pounds of leafy green vegetables a day, no matter how you get them in. So the amount of vegetables that you eat on keto is not going to determine your success or failure as it relates to weight loss. But again, I recommend it for optimal health. So after you've kind of figured out your breakfast, and those are just general ideas that you can use for breakfast, then you have to decide on what you're going to do for lunch. And so for lunch, I would typically do a salad or a wrap. So you could use, if you like the taste of raw collard greens, then you can use collard greens as a wrap. You can also use lettuce as a wrap, and then anything could go in there. So you could make it cold, or you could make it warm. You could saute ground meats of any sort with tons of vegetables, and then put them in a wrap almost like they would do at a Chinese restaurant. Or you could do like tuna with mayo and celery and spinach, and chop all that up and make you a more hearty tuna, and you could put that in a wrap. Anything that your imagination could bring you to take a protein and put it with vegetables and carb-free condiments and put it into a wrap, I suggest that. I also suggest salads for lunch, because you can take any green, and you can use spinach as the base, you can use romaine as the base, you can use arugula as your base, you can use mixed greens as your base, and then chop up whatever produce you like to put on top of it. So don't make this harder than it has to be for yourself. You could just go in the grocery store and go in the produce section and pick the produce that you like. And once you've picked all your produce that you actually like, then you can bring them home and figure out how you're gonna build your meals from there. Because when you're shopping keto, you really only have to go to the meat section and to the possibly to the dairy section and to the produce section. So in the produce section, just pick everything you like, and then make a plan that over a certain number of days, you're gonna eliminate all of that produce from your home. So because my recommendation is always 2 pounds a day, then I say for 3 days, if you're gonna go to the grocery store twice in a week, then for 3 days, you need 6 to 7 pounds of produce, and then just figure out meals that are gonna eliminate those produce over those few days. So for your salads, make them as interesting as you want to. So taco salads are a good option when you're keto. You could do that, as leftovers from dinner, because most things that people put on a taco salad are carb-free. Just avoid the beans when you're trying to get into ketosis, and then later you can kind of start to measure your carbs and add in some beans. Some of the things I really like, there are different opinions about nutritional yeast, but nutritional yeast has about 1 carb per it's 1 carb per tablespoon. But I really like this on top of my salads, and it has some of the B vitamins and niacin that I like to add into my diet, particularly when I am going vegan or not eating meat. So not true for keto, but still I've just become accustomed to the taste, and I like some of the things that are in it. So I like to add that. My favorite dressing is this one from Trader Joe, and it's called the Green Goddess salad dressing, and it's in the refrigerator section. It's another dressing that's good for vegans as well as people who are going keto, because it is vegan, but it is also only 1 carb per tablespoon, and it doesn't have any strange additives in it. It's literally just avocado, green onions, lemon juice, chives, basil, and garlic. So you have to keep it in the refrigerator, and I use it up fairly quickly. But if those are flavors that you like, this is a really good salad dressing. Another one that's really good, also from Trader Joe. This one I don't use it quite as much as that one. The bottle is still brand new, but it's the Romano Caesar dressing. And it has less than 1 carb per 2 tablespoons. But it's really tasty, and it has more of kind of a Caesar-y, cheesy taste because it does have the Romano in it. So if you don't mind getting in dairy, then this is good. And this is actually also a good marinade for chicken. So if you wanted to marinate your meat and just add some additional flavor or different flavors, then that's good to use for chicken or for fish. And then also on top of my salads, but also as something to have around just as a snack, even though my goal is always, and my recommendation is always not to snack between meals when you're trying to lose weight. But these I put on top of my salad. They're marinated artichokes. And so I eat these in a lot of different things, but particularly on top of my salads just to add like a different flavor. And they're virtually carb free because they do have 1 gram of carbs, but they also have 1 gram of fiber. So again, I'm not talking about net carbs here, but there are some carbs in this. So you wouldn't want to just, eat the whole bottle, but to put a few on top of your salad for an added flavor, that's also a good idea. So, so that's what I wanted to say about salad. So for lunch, I kind of focused on either wraps or salad. And then you can make a variety of different things just based on whatever you had in your refrigerator from when you went to the grocery store and focused on the pounds of produce that you were gonna buy. Then for dinner, I just try to focus on 2 or 3 dinner meals so that you know that you have the protein that you need to make your meals. And for dinner, just really try to focus. You don't want to spend all your time in the kitchen because you want to make sure that you're cooking at home as often as you can. So make enough portions for 2 to 3 days whenever you're cooking your proteins. And then that way you have something ready and you can just pull it out and eat it. So for dinner, I just try to focus on a protein and then again, tons of vegetables. So it depends on which protein you like the most. If it's shrimp, if it's fish, if it's chicken, if it's lamb, if it's steak, you can pick it. You're not gonna need a whole lot because remember, you only need about a half a pound of the more dense meat in order to get your protein in a day. So this is the one place where I say McDonald's got it right, a 1/4 pound is enough. So you wanna think about for dinner having a 1/4 pounder of protein and then balancing that out with some veggies. So go kind of wild with it and just focus more on flavor than on what you think of as a traditional meal. So for example, I may take, and I didn't bring that to show you, but I may take like vegetable stock or these vegetable cubes, not the regular bouillon cubes that have, you don't want to get anything that has MSG or any real crazy additives in it, but they do have some more nutritious vegetable-like cubes that you could dissolve. And when you dissolve them in your oil or just in a little bit of water, as you're sauteing it in the pan, you can put in onions, put in garlic, and then put in whatever you like. If you like green peppers, if you like red peppers, and then add in your meats. You could definitely, like for shrimp, if you take just those items and add them in, and then add in an additional spinach or whatever, put that on the plate next to a green salad, and then you have a very good keto-friendly dinner. There are some other more elaborate dinners that take into account, like, if you wanted to do zucchini noodles, where you take the zucchini and you actually cut them using the noodling apparatus, and then you can saute that in whatever you like, including this dressing because it's avocado based, and that makes kind of almost like a creamy pesto, and then you can add in more basil, and then it's kind of noodly, but you're really just eating your greens. And then you could have those noodles with whatever sauteed over it. You could add in cheese if that's what you choose to do. You could add in cheese, and so you have your noodles with your cheese and then your protein on the side. So just, again, don't make it too difficult. Think more about what vegetables do I like, and then from the vegetables that you like and the protein that you like, be very creative in trying to figure out how can I melt all these flavors together to make something for myself. So one thing I did want to talk about, but like I said before, is the reason why I said initially you don't want to focus on carbs, you just want to try to eliminate them in their entirety, is because just when I was talking to you about my salad, for example, the salad that I like the most that I would go towards, which is predominantly romaine lettuce with like green onions and the nutritional yeast and the artichokes with the dressing, one of the dressings that I talked about. And then I may add, spinach to that or other things that just seem to be extremely healthy. At the end of the day, that salad, just for like a normal bowl that would make me full, it's like 10 carbs overall. So when you try to focus and you think that things are 0 carbs, 9 times out of 10, they are going to have some carbs. Like, the green onions have a negligible amount of carbs. The nutritional yeast has a little bit of carbs. So the artichokes have a little bit of carbs, and when they all add up, you end up getting in carbs throughout the day. But if you focus on trying to stay at 0, you'll stay under the 25 mark that ultimately you'd like to be at in order to get into ketosis. So the other thing I want to talk about when you're building your meals is you want to avoid pre-made sauces. So I know one of the mistakes that I made long ago, before keto was the rave, but just trying to go low carb, was to make spaghetti for my family and then eating the spaghetti without the noodles, just on top of spinach. You don't want to do that because a lot of those sauces have sugars in them, particularly spaghetti sauces. So you always want to check the label and don't just eat sauces that you presume are carb free, because a lot of them have carbs in it. For example, Worcestershire sauce has a gram per teaspoon. So make sure you're not putting that on your steaks or marinating your meat in that, because you are going to get in carbs that you wouldn't think that you're getting in and you wouldn't necessarily count. Okay, so that's pretty much picking your meals. Now we need to talk about picking a few treats. So you never want to feel deprived on a diet, because that is what's going to keep you from sticking to it, and you want longevity in order to be successful on a diet. So pick a few treats and try to think long and hard about what's something that I would really like, that I would find tasty, that would make me happy if I'm thinking about swaying from my diet, but is still within the rules. And so I can give you examples of what I like. They may not be shared by many, but 2 of the things that I always make sure that I have on hand as far as it relates to keto is, number 1, coffee. I love coffee. I'm a coffee drinker, so I need to have coffee in my home. And then this is also my opportunity when I'm not trying to be vegan, that I can actually have half and half with stevia. So coffee is a go-to for me. I find it to be a treat. And then also different types of teas. Like right now, I will grab a peach tea from Starbucks. And for whatever reason, because it's cold, the tea is just warm and tasty and a treat. Another thing that I find to be a treat and often ends up being my lunch, and the way that I would break fast if I were doing intermittent fasting. So this is around noontime, and because I work from home, I'm really busy and I don't really have time to take a break and do full on lunch. And sometimes I don't have time to actually prep the salad. But what I will do is make a keto friendly smoothie. And so for me, my keto friendly smoothie, even though it's keto friendly, it still takes up a lot of my carbs for the day. And so to do that, I would usually take either spinach or kale, and then put those in the blender with just water. And then I would peel a few limes. And so say maybe 3 limes, because it's just a citrus fruit, and so you don't have to worry about the carbs. So I would have 3 limes, my green, some water, and then I add in stevia, 3 or 4 stevia packets, and then I add in these just coconut chunks. And so the coconut chunks do have carbs in them, actually quite a bit. So for 7 pieces of these little coconut chunks, you get 10 carbs, but there's 7 dietary fiber. So the fiber, since your body is not actually taking it in, it kind of goes through. And so with 7 pieces of that, you're really only looking at 3 carbs. But again, because we're not counting net carbs, we're just looking at carbs in general, those 10 carbs would be what would take up a lot of my carbs for the day. But it's a treat. I like the taste of it. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like a tropical smoothie to me, and I really like it. So just think about different things that are keto friendly that you could potentially think of as a treat and you could have for yourself, for those moments when you're feeling like you don't really like being restricted in what you're eating. And then the last thing is to keep fillers around. And when I say fillers, I just mean for those things that you can grab when you have absolutely no time to prep, when you don't want to think about what to eat, or when you're having a hard time avoiding snacking, that you can just take out, warm up, and you're good to go. And so for me, one of those things is juice. We really don't talk about juicing as it relates to the keto diet often, because most people don't like green juice without lots of apples in them. But I actually like green juice with just the greens, including celery, spinach, kale, some cucumbers, and then adding ginger and lemon in that. Again, if you don't like that taste, you can add in stevia to that, and then that's helping to get in your greens in case you haven't actually eaten 2 pounds in that day. Another thing that's good to keep around is a pot of greens. Like a lot of people love collard greens, and the keto diet lets you make them the way your mama made them. You just can't have sugar in them. So, but other than that, the meats, the smoked meats, you can go ahead and create, just make a pot of greens at the beginning of the week, and then they're in the refrigerator. And if you want to eat something that's filling, but you don't want to think about it, you just pull out your greens. And so that's true for collards, kale, cabbage. You know, I know when I was little, I loved when my mom would put like ground beef inside of cabbage. I don't know what it is about that taste. I loved it. So you could do that and have it in the refrigerator as well. So the other thing I would suggest is that any place that you are going to be, like say for example, if you work outside the home and you are taking your lunch or packing your lunch and you don't get the opportunity to pack your lunch, just always have in the back of your mind sort of places that you can eat near your job with a meal plan already in your mind, so that once you get there, you just know what you're ordering and you don't have to be tempted and you don't have to think a lot about what you're going to decide. I would also suggest the same thing if you go out to eat with your family often or with your friends. If you have restaurants that you often frequent, then go ahead before you go to the restaurant and look at the menus and decide what you're going to eat so that you stay within plan. This is going longer than I thought, but I wanted to give you as much information as I could just around how to build your meals and how to start out on the keto diet so that you could be a success. If you have more questions, it is my pleasure to serve and it is my pleasure to answer them. So just let me know. Good luck. keep going. I'll do another, I did also get a question about how did keto go for me when I did it for a week. I feel good on keto. If ideally, when I get my chef, I would be vegan, but you know, keto is a good option. It definitely doesn't make me feel bad. I feel good while on keto. I didn't track weight loss, but I will do that in the coming weeks because I'm going to continue keto for a little bit. So if you have other questions, join me on this journey. We're doing this together. Whether you have 10 to 15 pounds to lose, like I'm at the point that I'm trying to lose that last weight, which is harder, or if you have 200 pounds to lose, it doesn't matter. We all have to do the same things if we're following the same strategy. So let's keep each other in check and keep each other motivated. So if you have any questions, ask me, and it would be my pleasure, as I said, to answer them. So take care. Talk to you next time.